Hi, I'm Sherry Harlan with Reid Health, and welcome to Reid Beside You. Today, our guests are Dr. Bandar and Dr. Cobb with Reid Health's Residency program, and welcome.
Thank you for having us.
You.
So this is a new venture for Reid Health, and we'll start with Dr. Bandar. If you can explain, and you are the Assistant Program Director for the Reid Health Family Residency Program. So can you give us some direction on how the residency program came to be at Reid Health?
Sure. The program is now going on its third year, and we originally recognized that the community and overall nationally had an aging population which would require more primary care. In addition to that, our state in itself had a new medical school that was looking at having their graduates match and do their residency program here as well. So I think all of those, an aging population, a community that required more primary care where we were in the medical world, all meant that very aptly the think tanks within Reid Health thought that this would be probably the next most logical step. And so we embarked on a family medicine residency program and now have been allotted for 6 residents per batch. The residency program is a 3-year program in which the residents get training both on inpatient and outpatient. So they have their own residency clinic in which they carry their own cohort of patients throughout their time that they're training here at Reid. And it's been a wonderful experience to watch them grow.
And currently, how many residents are in the program?
Currently, we have 13 residents, and every year, kind of in the fall, we go through an interview process that is a sort of nationally organized interview matching process, and then usually in about the spring, we get the results of that, and in about July is when we onboard our new cohort of training physicians.
And with our service area is more considered a rural area, and has that been a bonus for you, or I'm sure just trying to get people to come? Has that been a plus?
Actually, during the interview phase, it's pretty interesting. So I have the opportunity to interview applicants who have expressed an interest. So really the interest comes from the physicians who are seeking out being able to be trained in this environment. It's actually a plus point. I think that our area serves as a regional center, and it's an opportunity for training physicians who want to kind of understand this sort of environment, less of a city setting, more of that sort of fine balance and perfect balance, I would say, between, Reid Health has all of the sort of technical facilities and equipment that you would find in a large city, but also serves a community that maybe is a little more rural. So it's got that perfect balance, and I think that's been a plus point actually for a lot of physicians who want to train here.
Okay. And Dr. Colt, so you are in your residency, and what year are you in?
I'm a first year.
Okay. And give me a typical day that you would have.
So it can be different depending on what service you're on, but typically you'll pre-round if you have any patients in the hospital, you'll see them, you'll check on them and make sure that they're doing okay. Then you'll meet with your attending, discuss the day's plans, and then if you're on a surgical service, you'll go over the surgeries you'll be attending. And then we typically have a educational break either in the afternoon or during lunchtime. And then if you have a clinic day, then you'll be seeing your own patients in your clinic. So usually it's a fairly daunting day, but it start early and end late, but that's kind of our life.
And I know the graduates will graduate with a DO as opposed to an MD. Could you explain the difference?
So DOs have a little bit extra training. We were initially taught that a person is whole of mind, body, and spirit. Then we also have a little extra toolkit in our, where we're trained with manipulation, osteopathic manipulation. So we believe that the body's structure and function are kind of interrelated, and so we're taught how to use our hands to kind of realign the body and get that structure and function back in line.
So we're looking at the whole body.
Yep. And so our training is similar to an MD's. We're just given a little bit extra training with the manipulation. So we're MD plus.
And Dr. Vandar, and I wanted to make sure to explain to our viewers that you're actually a practicing physician.
Correct.
Not that you aren't a student.
Absolutely. So
And I want to make sure people understand that.
Right. These are physicians who have graduated medical school, and they are functioning on their license,
Right.
and they really just work with senior physicians at collaborating. So if they want to run something by someone and get a second set of ears, that's really where they are. But these are fully, ready to go physicians who are ready to serve in full capacity.
Help us understand the benefit to the community as well as the hospital by having this residency program.
Absolutely. So for the community, we have a need for primary care physicians.
Yes.
And generally what tends to happen is a physician who trains in a certain environment ends up really developing a personal relationship with that community. And usually the statistics are that they end up setting up their practice there. So usually when a hospital opts to have a residency program, it's really with the hope and intention that the physicians that are there as resident physicians go on to fully practice. And I'm really happy to say that that's exactly what's happened. Almost every batch group that has gone through has signed a contract to stay here and continue to serve the community. And so from that standpoint, it's a wonderful opportunity to add to the community of physicians that we already have because they have the desire to be here long term. From a hospital standpoint, I think it made absolute sense to bring a residency program to such a beautiful institution. There's it only made sense to turn it into an academic center. There was already a lot of
school of the labs and the radiology at School of Nursing. Mm-hmm. So this was a good fit.
Absolutely. So what it does is it kind of takes the hospital up a notch, and really you are working neck to neck with a lot of those sort of larger cities. Now we're turning into an academic center. And so I think that over the years we will watch how it matures and grows into an academic center that provides a wide range of training. So even as preceptors, as teachers, we have to up our game. We've got to be up to date with the latest recommendations and guidelines because we are making sure that the residents and physicians that are training here are functioning at that level. So I think that from an institution standpoint, it rises and elevates how we function. It's exciting for us as teachers and preceptors, and I think for the community it really makes a long-lasting impression where we can continue to serve long-term.
The accreditation process, how could you explain about that?
Sure.
On how we're accredited?
Yes. So we now we're in the process of getting dually accredited. So we were first accredited with the American Osteopathic Association, dealing with the doctors of osteopaths, so the DO physicians. What has happened on a national level is the MD program. There's an Accreditation Council for Graduate Medical Education, or ACGME. What they've decided is that there's lots of similarities, and really with the way that we are moving as a country, looking at the whole physician, the whole patient rather, the holistic aspect, it would be nice to kind of bring them together. So now we're in a dual accreditation process where we're all going to merge together, DOs and MDs. So recently we had the ACGME come and do a site visit. So the purpose of a site visit is that a physician training in what we would call maybe a rural setting versus a city setting, we want to make sure that all of the doctors are trained and are functioning at the same level. So whether you trained as a resident physician in a large city or you trained in a what we would call a rural area, there are certain standards that everyone is expected to function at and everyone is expected to achieve. And so there's a accreditation council that goes around and makes sure that each residency program is functioning at the same level. We just had our site visit, and it went very well, and so we're waiting to hear back on that. And what that means is we get the green light that yes, the doctors that are here are training neck to neck and on par with any other physician training in the country.
So as a patient, if I came in, I would have no idea a person was a resident if they weren't my doctor.
Right, they
Correct.
usually introduce themselves as that way.
Yep.
Okay.
But I think that really we have a wonderful batch that is really functioning very well.
Great. And on another plus is we're happy to have both of you in our community. And I know that Dr. Bandar, with a lot of people might know your husband, Aman Bakshi, and I know I work with him through the United Way. And and you also have a family?
Yeah, so I actually came here, I was a resident training in Michigan, and I visited here and heard about the residency program, and I met with our VPMA, Dr. Tom Huth, and he talked to me about that, and I was doing an extra year in that. So brought my family here. I have 2 young children. My husband serves the United Way and many other programs. This is a very family-oriented community, and so we've enjoyed being here.
And we're excited you're here. And Dr. Kaup?
Yes.
And your family?
Yep. I have 2 daughters. I have a stepson that lives part-time in Indianapolis, but I have 2 daughters that are going to Centerville School, and they're really enjoying that school there.
So that's another plus of the residency program. We're bringing in more the physicians. They're acclimated, and not only acclimated, but active in the community. So that is such a plus that we're real excited. And but the biggest thing is we just want the community to be aware that about the Reid residency program. And I want to thank you both for joining us today,
Thank you for having us.
and so thank you for joining us as we talked about the Reid Health Family Residency Program.
Life can sometimes be chaotic. And with small children, it can be difficult to get to the doctor.
Hi, Mrs. Towns. How are you doing?
I have a sick little boy right here. I think he might have an ear infection.
With Reid Health Now virtual visits, you don't even need to leave your home.
I'll send in a prescription for him.
Quick, easy, convenient.
I don't want to take the kids out today.
Oh, hey, Doc.
Reid Health, right beside you, right now.
Hello and welcome back to the second half of Reid Beside You. And today our guest is Dr. Kit Jose with the Reid Health Residency Program. Welcome, Dr. Jose.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask you, how did you decide to become a medical doctor?
My journey to become a medical doctor was actually kind of by accident. I come from a long line of firefighters in my family, so I just kind of figured that's what I was going to do. And as I became a firefighter and started doing more medical care, I realized that that was actually more fun than fighting the fires.
Wow.
And so, yeah, as I just kind of continually pursued that, did some international medical work, and that kind of sealed the deal for me. Decided to quit my job firefighting and return to school.
And when you were saying you were doing some international work, now where were you residing prior to coming to Richmond?
So prior to Richmond, I was in California. So I grew up in Northern California, but more recently been down by the San Diego area.
And how did you decide to join the Reid Health Residency program?
Well, that's also another good question. So throughout medical school, it was a great experience. I did get kind of sick in several parts, though, and required several surgeries. One of them was a spinal surgery that set me back a little bit. And so when it came time to apply, all my surgeries had made me kind of miss some important deadlines. And so when it came time for the match, I was actually not able to do that. But at that point in time, Reid Health had started their residency, and they had started a little bit late as well, and so they were looking for residents, and I was looking for a job. And so got a phone call from them, and yeah, I decided to come out.
But on a good news, bad news, your misfortune was our fortune that we have you here at Reid Health. Give me a typical day, what you would do as a resident.
Yeah, so a typical day for us really kind of depends on the service that we're on. If we're on an inpatient service, like taking care of people in the hospital.
I was going to ask you, can you
yeah.
explain to our audience the difference? A lot of times, so there's a lot of terms people aren't familiar with. So on an inpatient side,
Yeah, so on the inpatient side, where we're primarily focused on caring for people in the hospital, I generally show up at the hospital around 5:30, 6 a.m., just kind of start checking on labs and tests that were ordered, talk to the nurses overnight, see if anything has changed. So then I'll go and make rounds, and so I'll do that with my other residents. And just kind of talk to the different patients, see what's going on, see how they're improving, kind of think about some changes that need to be made. And then we'll meet with our attending physician, who's kind of overseeing all of the medical treatments that we're doing. And then we'll kind of, we'll discuss the patients with the attending physician. They'll make changes if they see fit. And then we'll do what's called formal rounding, where the attending physician comes and sees all the patients with us.
now just for clarification, does the attending physician change vary on the various departments, or do you have one set person that you're under?
So the attending physician does change contingent upon what service we're with. And then so when we do our medicine rotation, we actually have multiple physicians that we'll work under. So they'll rotate on a weekly basis.
And then also, so do you see them, or then do you have your own set of patients?
Right,
that
and then
you're
so usually in the afternoons, I'll have patients in the clinic as well, and so that will be off-site. And then that's my own panel of patients,
Okay.
so that we have kind of built up over the past 2.5 years, so that I'll be seeing them more on a longitudinal basis, and just kind of taking care of whatever health needs they have.
Because you're open so often, that would give you a chance not to see that particular patient. You're open. Sometimes you can see entire families, or how does that work?
Correct. Yeah. So in family medicine, we'll see all age ranges, going from birth up until like the geriatric population.
So it's a never-ending as well as just a constant learning. What would be the biggest change from, you were saying you did some international work, and then coming to a more rural, smaller community? What's been some of the differences that you've seen?
Right. So so you look at the differences between medical treatment in a rural area versus internationally. So I guess in America, this is considered more rural, but at a city of 35,000, I still consider that a little bit big.
Okay.
But so here, I think Richmond is unique in the sense that Reid is in a smaller area, but they offer a lot of services, just between all the specialties.
Right.
And the level of care that's offered here is actually pretty unique to a city this size. Now, working internationally, we're often working in areas where we don't have any hospitals, and it just consists of whatever medical treatments that we can bring. We have small satellite clinics set up, but nowhere near the amount of resources that we have here.
So that also brings often, because we're in a smaller area, we think we might have less resources, but we're actually resource rich with the various offices that are offered, as well as the different levels of practice and the different studies of practice that are available for these service areas. So that's I'm sure that's a plus.
Yeah, absolutely. So I enjoy getting to work with the different specialties, and it's also nice to keep most everything that we do in-house. So it's all with the specialists that we see on a day-to-day basis, and you can develop good relationships that way, and it just makes it easier for the continuity of care.
And since this is a relatively new residency program, I'm sure that's given you time to bond with the other residents. And do you work a lot with the other residents and through the day and through your practice?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we spend so much time here that you're bound to get to know your colleagues very well. So yeah, we've developed good relationships with the other residents for sure.
And I'm sure that it seems like we've been able to get, with having our own residency program, a big diversity of just not getting people from one part of the country, but going out all over the country to get people from, you were saying you were from California, then there's other physicians I know that are from Indiana, so we get a better mix of just the diversity through the medical field coming to Reid.
Right, and I think that's probably one of the better things that the residency brings to the city of Richmond is just more diversity of people and diversity of thought. So we've got both coasts represented here. We've got a couple from California, one from New Jersey, and then some from the Midwest. So different people with different levels of training and different ideas.
And bringing different experiences.
Correct.
As well. And so how long is our residency program?
So a family medicine residency is 3 years in length.
Okay.
And after you're done with that, some may opt to go ahead and pursue a fellowship, which is an additional year or two of training, maybe in an area that they're interested in working in, of a more specialized.
Have you found a specialty that you are closer to, that you are starting to, because I believe you're in your third year?
Yeah, so I'm in my third year right now. So I got into family medicine because I like treating the whole person. I like all the organ systems. I like looking at a person collectively. Right now, I think I lean more towards the inpatient side, so working with the people who are sick and in the hospital. So I'll probably be looking to work in the hospital when I leave.
Okay. And we hope to keep you here. So that's another big plus for the residency program. So as people are trained in this area, then we hope to keep them, for lack of better terms, they're homegrown, so that you would stay in our community and practice in this community.
Right, and I think that's one of the main targets of the residency is to train some physicians and then to supply the demand that is here. I know that one of our residents has already signed a contract and will be working at Reid when she graduates, and another is very interested in doing that. And so that's good. But I think even for those who choose not to stay, that's good as well, because what they do is they take Reid's name and reputation and are going to spread that throughout the nation, essentially.
Right. And we're excited about that.
Yeah.
And I can't forget to ask about your family.
Yeah.
And can you give us so do you have, are you married? Do you have children?
Yeah, so I am married. So we've been married about 6.5 years. My wife's name is Lauren. She's actually a physician assistant in the emergency department here at Reid. And then we have 2 daughters, one who's 3 years old, her name is Clara, and the other who is 8 weeks old, and her name is Kate.
So you have a new baby.
Yes.
So the girls are going to keep you busy,
Yep.
as well as I'm sure they're enjoying, they had a chance to enjoy the weather or just getting out and going around our community.
Absolutely.
And we are so excited that you chose to come to Reid Health for your residency. And we want to thank you for joining us. And possibly we'll see Dr. Jose as you if you visit Reid Health. And make sure you say hello to him.